Rally Towel fam, what is up? Good evening. Welcome to the show. We've got a fantastic one for you tonight. This is the Generous Degenerates, brought to you by Rally Towel Sports. You got myself, Bobby. Corey will be joining us in a second. Tonight, we're going to be covering the Final Four bets and predictions, NBA playoffs, the MVP race, and the finals futures. We've got the Valero Open and the Masters coming up in the next week or two. It's going to be great. Obviously, NFL free agency, some big news there. And a few other special announcements. So without further ado, let's get it.
This is the Generous Degenerates, presented by Rally Towel Sports.
Chat. Corey, hello, everybody. Welcome. Good evening. How are we doing tonight, sir?
Doing well, sir. Doing well. I'm glad to be back. I've missed you guys.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
But I'm glad to be back, packing in it, baby.
Hell yeah, Mafia Sports. What is up, my dude? Spin. Gotta love the ads. Hey, it's a part of the deal, my dude. But we'll try to make sure it's a good show for you, so you get the bang for your buck. Corey, I mean, you had some time off. Obviously, not here last week. Fill us in. What's going on? How was your vacation?
It is sweet. I had obviously I was here 2 weeks ago, and then after that, I went up northern Michigan. I'll do the standard Michigan thing right about here. I was up in Boyne City, shredding some fresh gnar, hitting some snowboarding up there, and for a buddy's bachelor party. So that was fucking fantastic. Yeah. And then last week, went down polar opposites. Went down to Gatlinburg, where it was fucking 80 degrees and fantastic.
It looked beautiful down there. You guys had a sweet house too.
Yeah, the house was dope. Shout out to my stepmom for locking that down. She was just basically like, all right, it's my 60th. We're going to go down and party, and I'm giving you no excuse not to come. And so we're like, all right, cool. So we all brought the kids and did the Gatlinburg thing, and the little kids had fun. The big kids had fun. So, but glad to be back into some sense of normalcy. 2 weeks of just running around like that can kind of fuck with the dopamine regulation system going on in the head. So glad to be back though.
Yeah, absolutely. Those two back-to-back 15-second ads, those are tough, man. We all do not like those, but like I said, we got a good one for you tonight. So just sit back, relax, have a cold one, and let's get into it here. Obviously, an interesting weekend. Final four matchups. We had the first game, absolutely fantastic game. Second game, quite the contrary. Corey, you had the nice back of a 57 Chevrolet to watch these games in. So kind of break down your thoughts on just kind of how that weekend went with basketball, and what do you got going on for the Final Four?
Yeah, we had a fantastic weekend of Sweet 16 and Elite 8 action leading us into this Final Four, which is getting a lot of flack, and I don't get it personally. I think this has been one of the most exciting tournaments that I've watched in a really long time. So obviously there's, 4 teams left, and I just kind of want to look at those 4 teams and how they got here. You look at a team, we'll start with the favorite. We'll start with UConn. This is a team that has absolutely come out and just fucking pistol whipped every single team that they have faced in the tournament so far. Gonzaga, they made them look like a high school basketball team, and it wasn't even close. Ran away with it. They are so complete on every end of the court. offensively, defensively, and you're starting to see a lot of these college teams come in here with these 7-footers, UConn being one of them, Creighton another, obviously Purdue being in the mix there, Xavier as well. UConn uses their big the best. Their big is probably the best big in college basketball right now.
Yeah, he's got the best footwork out of any 7-footer in college I've seen in quite some time.
Yeah, Zach Edey's is right there too. I think that he had a really good season. I don't want to take anything away from them just because they got knocked out there by Fairleigh, but I think that the way that this kid has been playing in the tournament so far has been fantastic, and UConn is getting the result of it, and they're playing so well as a team and complete on both ends of the court. It's been fun as a guy that put a February 18th $5 future bet on UConn to win the national championship.
There you go.
Watching them do this. So,
yeah.
And looking at their opponent, obviously, we're talking about Miami and getting a lot of love in the chat right now. So shout out to all the U fans there. I mean, an amazing run. Going up against Houston, I will say I had Miami in the points, man. Going up against Texas, I had Miami in the points. So I've always at least thought that they're going to be a team that hangs in there. I never really had the balls to put like a money line bet on Miami on any of those games, but I always thought that they would be hanging in there. So far that, they've kind of, proven me to be correct, especially this Texas game that in this Elite Eight matchup. I mean, phenomenal response by Miami coming out in the first half. Texas looked really strong. Even the first parts of the second half, Texas looked really good. Miami was just kind of able to hang in there and then took the momentum and ran with it to finish that game out. And hats off to them cutting down the nets. It was back-to-back Elite Eight appearances for Miami, and now they're taking that next step and headed to Houston for the Final Four. Looking at the other side of the bracket, man, this has been one of the more exciting sides of the bracket just because of all the upsets that we've been getting. Obviously, we're talking about Fairleigh Dickinson. We're talking about FAU. We're talking about San Diego State. And San Diego State knocking out the number 1 overall seed in Alabama. And then taking down Creighton, who was one of my honestly, if Creighton's in the Final Four, I think it's Creighton and UConn as the teams that are favored in this, just because of the effectiveness that they get out of their bigs and how complete they play on both sides of the ball. But that's not the case. Obviously, San Diego State. Some people might want to say controversy at the end of that game. I'm not buying it. If you want to call crap on that inbounds play, I'm fairly certain the kid from Creighton stepped on the inbounds line when he was throwing the ball in anyway. So let's just move on. Hats off to San Diego State. And then you've got the 9 seed. You've got FAU getting there by way of, I believe, Tennessee's, who they knocked off in the Sweet 16. And then I'm spacing right now on who they knocked off to get into the Final Four. Can't remember why. I don't know why that's escaping me right now. But anyway, FAU is a team I live bet to take down Tennessee in the second half. So that I did a money line bet on them, and they showed me the way. So yeah.
So Tommy had a good question earlier, and I was sitting here doing research trying to figure it out.
Okay.
His question was, maybe you guys can answer this. If the Canes in Florida Atlantic get in the championship game, will it be the first time 2 colleges from the same state have played each other?
No.
The answer is no. Do you know it's only been done one other time?
I believe it's North Carolina Duke, is it not?
No.
Okay. Let me think about this then. So we've got to think about states.
It was in the 1960s.
Yeah, I'm sure. I knew it would be
anything recent.
Yeah, just back before 3-point lines were allowed, and let me think about this. So I got to think about the blue bloods of college basketball, and I'm assuming that that's where this lies. And I think blue is a good hint. And I'm going to go with no. Okay, no, all right. So it's not a blue team. It's not a blue team. Okay.
Nope. Both teams have the color red.
Are they currently still college basketball powerhouses?
They are not considered powerhouses, no, but they have been competitive in the last decade.
We've got
in some years.
We've got a comment in here: Michigan State versus U of M. Is that it?
No, none of those schools have red. Well, maybe U.
Oh, they have red. I'm sorry,
both have the color red.
Okay.
Involved. Joey, it is not IU.
They
Well,
both have
you're getting in the right section of the country.
from the same state. Is Nebraska one of the schools?
Nope.
Okay, so you said Iowa was in the right area of the country.
Indiana.
Oh, Indiana, Purdue.
No.
Indiana State.
Nope. It's not. Indiana's not one of the teams.
Oh, okay. I thought when you said that,
I meant the state of Indiana. That's the right part of the country.
Oh, okay.
Somewhere in that, I would say, circle.
One of the teams, is it
All right, I'll give you
Wisconsin and is it Marquette and
No.
Okay, what is it? Just give me them.
It is Ohio State in Cincinnati.
Wow.
1961.
Wow. Pretty cool.
Yeah, I thought that's a pretty cool stat.
Yeah, that's very
At
cool.
least for those of us
Who
from the
won?
Cincinnati area. The two Ohio programs, let's see. First title game, Bearcats beat the Buckeyes in overtime in the first one. And then, believe it or not, the same two programs then met again in the following year's championship game. Cincinnati defeated Ohio State again. And those are the only two,
Sounds awesome.
Intrastate titles that have ever occurred in the history of the NCAA. It happened 2 years in a row, so pretty neat.
Thanks for that, Tommy. That was a nice little fun fact. We all learned something here today.
Yeah, absolutely. Joey, North or South Dakota, good guess though. I mean, that's an impossible one. If I didn't look it up and find the answer, I would have never guessed Ohio State and Cincy. Wait, Ohio State is not in Ohio.
Come on now. What are we doing here, guys? Ohio State is not in Ohio.
Okay, so let's go with your picks for the Final Four here. Who we're gonna have here? We'll start with the 9 versus the 5 seed, Florida Atlantic versus San Diego State. What are going to be the keys for each team going into this matchup, and and who's overall gonna come out of it?
Sure, I think San Diego State wants to try and replicate what they did on Sunday, and keep this a low-scoring affair. I think if they can play their style of game, then this is going to be something that they're going to be in control of this game. Rather, the way that FAU has been able to advance like this is to get other teams out of their style and get them playing at their pace, which has allowed them to take control of these games, stay in these games. And the best thing for an underdog is a close game, right? That's basically all that they're looking for. And you can even hear some of the sideline reportings where they're going back to the coach, and the coach is saying, okay, all we need to do is be within 5 points at the 4-minute mark. That's all we need to do. And he kind of breaks it down for his team that way as they're kind of clawing back into these games. And it's been effective. So basically San Diego State controlling the tempo of the game, making us a defensive style game, I think is what they're going to look to do here. And I've got them advancing on to the national championship game. I got San Diego State -2, and I'm actually going to take the under here at $132. You get the opportunity for a push, 132 even. I'm going to take the under. San Diego State has covered 5 straight unders, so I'm going to keep riding that train here. And I'm anticipating this going to kind of be a little bit of a sloppy game. It's kind of a cheap take in that we've got the 9 and the 5 going against each other, so it's just an opportunity for some sloppy basketball. But I think that's what we're going to see here is 2 teams on the cusp of greatness, and initially at least not. And let's also just say they're going to be inside a football stadium, guys. So it's going to look a little bit different. It's going to take some getting used to. Aaron has always preached that on this program, that unders in the Final Four are a great play. So we're looking to take that.
No, I think that's a great call. San Diego State has played very good defense throughout the course of this tournament, and held some very elite shooting teams to some very awful shooting percentages.
Yep.
And the one thing that I'm worried about for Florida Atlantic is they had 22 turnovers in their win last week. You can't do that against San Diego State, or they're going to absolutely annihilate you.
It's an elite stat right there, Bob. Elite stat.
Yeah. Hey, I try to come prepared to these things, man.
But we do it for you guys.
22 turnovers last week. That is a major red flag. I think Corey hit the nail on the head. I think this is going to be a very low scoring game. Let's not use the word sloppy. Let's use defensive heavy game.
I dig it.
Defensive minded game. No, it's going to be a shit show. Start to finish.
It's going to be fun. It's going to be fun. There's nothing. That's the only thing we can affirmatively say about both of these teams thus far in the tournament is
Yeah.
that all of their games have been a blast.
Yeah. No, I think the under hits, San Diego covers the spread, and then they're headed to the ship.
Yep.
All right. Next matchup. This is probably going to be the better of the two games, in my opinion. Obviously, UConn, very stout team. They look very put together. They have beaten their 4 opponents, with a combined 90-point margin. So they're in the green 90 points over the 4 games they've played. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
That's pretty good. And I think the only team to do it better over a 6-game span and win the championship was Kentucky, and they scored 129 points. That was their margin in the tournament. They were in the green 129. So UConn within striking distance of that record if they can obviously beat Miami, but Miami's got a pretty potent offense. So I'm interested to see your take on this one.
Yeah, and offense, I think, is what we're going to get out of this game, whereas we had a sloppy prediction for the last game. I think this one we're looking at 2 offenses that are just absolutely shooting the lights out right now. I think that we're getting a little bit of a depressed over here based on the fact that it is going to be, Final Four unders typically hit. We're looking at 2 teams that have been shooting in the 75s to 80s pretty regularly over the last 3 or 4 games. So at 149.5, I'm hitting the over on this one. I know I just said unders in the Final Four hit, but again, we're looking at
exception.
This is an exception. Each of these teams are putting up at least 76 points, I think, in their last 3 matchups, with 2 of those, if not all 3 for Miami, being in the 80s. So these teams are scoring right now, and I think they're going to continue to ride that momentum, and they're comfortable playing in that pace of a game right now. Or we're also going to be seeing a UConn team that just comes out and puts the throttle down and doesn't stop and just keeps running and running and running, and they just put up 85 and end up winning by 20 again. So that could happen here. I don't think it will happen, but it could. I do think there's a reason we're seeing UConn right now at a minus 120 futures. The rest of the teams are at plus odds to win the national championship. They're far and above the favorite, and on paper. Now, we all know that doesn't mean anything when it comes once the ball's tipped and the game's being played. But on paper, they are clearly the best team left.
For sure.
In the Final Four.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's with that. I'm also taking UConn minus 5.5. They've covered 4 straight against the spread.
No, I mean, I think if there's one game that's going to go to OT, it's going to be this one. Because I honestly think that the San Diego State Florida Atlantic game is probably not going to be very close, because I just think Florida Atlantic's going to struggle. The only reason I think they're going to struggle is because they're a scrappy team, and scrappiness only gets you so far. So I think if there's one game that's going to go to OT, it's going to be this game, and it's going to be a high scoring one. Hit the over. I still have UConn's going to win, but I just don't know by how much.
I mean, at the same time, are we shocked if Miami's just clawing back? Here we are in the second half, and Miami's clawing right back.
Not at all.
And with the other side, you say that you think San Diego State's going to run away. Vegas just disagrees with you right now, and that's okay. People have beaten Vegas before, but they're predicting that one to be a little bit tighter of a game. I think you might be getting a little bit of the spread based on what UConn was able to do against Gonzaga, and I believe that was a 2-point spread, if I'm not mistaken. And they blew them out of the water up by at least 30 at one point. So might be a little bit of an inflation there. But again, I think when you just look at the body of work that UConn has put together over the last 4 matchups, they've just dominated, and you iterated that earlier. So I think the spread is justified, and again, we've seen so much craziness already here in the last 2 weeks that if it's FAU Miami in the finals, I'd be like, yeah, okay, all right, well,
let's ride.
Par for the course, right? So would I be pissed? Yeah, I got a $5 future on UConn to win a national championship.
Right.
Come on, Huskies. And I love their fucking coach. I don't even know his name, but they're up 30 on Gonzaga. The scrubs are in, and they fuck something up. What are you fucking doing out there? Just starts ripping into it. It's like, this
just
guy.
No chill.
This guy,
just no chill whatsoever.
he's
But
out for multiple rings.
hey, and that's a good thing. You want that out of a coach, and you want your coach to have really high expectations, because if he doesn't have high expectations and goals, then why the hell are we here?
Yeah. Exactly.
One thing I do want to mention, I don't know if anybody's been watching the women's tournament, but Caitlin Clark is a fucking baller. She's
Girl from
putting up
Iowa?
40 point triple doubles.
Yeah, dude.
I mean, credit where credit's due.
Absolutely.
And that lady is selling some tickets too. I saw a stat where the final 4 games, the tickets for the women's games are double the cost of what the men's are.
Wow.
Or at least per game.
And that's kind of been the thing right now. And like, I'm curious what your thoughts are. A lot of people have been saying like this has been a really boring tournament. The ticket prices are reflecting that in the final 4. Are you with that, or where are you landed on that?
I think this has been a very exciting tournament, and the reason that ticket prices are reflecting is because all these big bandwagon schools aren't in there. You don't have your Alabamas, your Kentuckys, the Gators, the Blue Devils, the Tar Heels. Like, you don't have all these big, basketball heavy schools, riding deep into the tournament.
Yeah.
Which brings a lot of fans, which brings a ton of fans out there, the diehards and the bandwagons and the money.
Yeah.
So
Duke alumni are a lot more, able to throw a lot more cash at going to a Final Four than our FAU alumni, and that's not a knock at FAU. I just think that I think if you were to just look at the statistics at the median income of Duke graduates, it would probably be higher than that of FAU. Yeah, and again, not a knock at FAU, just not probably a statistical fact that I haven't actually checked.
Pure volume alone. But no, I mean, I think that's a direct reflection of it. I don't think it has to do with the play at all in this tournament whatsoever. So, but that's my take on it.
I agree. I'm totally with you. I think that this tournament, what it has actually shown is that college basketball has never been more competitive. It has never been a more level playing field.
It's in such a good spot now.
It is. It's in a fantastic spot. Be that the introduction of the NIL or the increased utilization of the transfer portal, whatever it is, whatever is happening right now, college basketball is in a very, very good spot because there are so many good basketball programs right now that exist. And the tournament has been a great conduit for some of those coaches to get the recognition that they need to move up into higher programs. And I'm not sure if you guys did you guys discuss anything on Fairleigh Dickinson last week?
We didn't really touch on it, no.
So they call it like riding the bubble, like riding the tournament wave, basically, and why Fairleigh Dickinson is better set up to do that than like a St. Pete that did it last year, that was successful last year. And a big reason for that is because St. Pete was a commuter school, meaning they didn't have a campus, they didn't have a larger budget. Whereas Fairleigh Dickinson is not. They have a campus, they have the larger budget, their enrollment is larger. Mm-hmm. Them making these moves in the tournament and winning these games is going to have a nice effect on the program. And you've seen it with other teams like George Mason and VCU having the success that they've had and it transferring out to being able to build a better program. So it's just an awesome result. And I think we're going to continue to see that, especially like FAU.
They're going to be able to bring in, a lot more talent. Obviously they've got a talented team already. I think they got a very good compliment from K-State's coach, saying it's the toughest team they had played up to that point. All season, not just in this tournament. So
he went in their locker room, didn't he?
Yeah, he went in their locker room after and gave them a bunch of kudos, and that is just such a class move. Bruce, thank you for liking the video. Good point in here. If you're listening on Spotify, Podbean, Google Play, or however you're listening to it, we are on YouTube, we are on Facebook, TikTok, Twitter, you name it, we're on it. Rally Towel Sports. Go give us a follow, like, share. OnlyFans, not yet, but coming soon. Corey's got some tasteful nudes that we'll be putting up there. We're all looking very, very forward to that.
Oh boy.
All right. Well, the stage is set. So if the weekend goes the way we think it's going to go, it's San Diego State UConn, which will be a good one. But obviously, it's the NCAA tournament. Anything can happen.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, we're excited to see where it goes. Now to the professional side of things. The NBA. NBA season is coming to a close here in the next week and a half. It is a tight race in the West for those last couple spots.
It's fight like a
Um,
tiger.
and then obviously MVP. It's coming down to, in our opinion, we had talked about earlier, three guys: Jokic, Embiid, and onto the Kumpo, Giannis, and then we got the finals futures bet. So Corey, lead us off. We'll start with the MVP race. Obviously, I read an article. It was written yesterday. Came out saying that Embiid and Jokic could be in line to get co MVPs.
Has that ever happened before? Has there ever been co MVPs before in the NBA? Because while you're looking that up, I'll talk.
Go ahead. Yeah, let's listen.
I just struggle with that because for so many years there have been, like, LeBron James should have had MVP like 7 years in a row, and it didn't happen because they were tired of giving the award to LeBron James. Which is, I mean, it's whatever. But to say that you're just going to just like, well, we can't decide, we got to just give it to, no, there needs to be some form of tiebreaker or some way to split the vote, or the commissioner makes a decision. It's a most valuable player award, and it should go to one person. This is if they do this, what you're going to get is the people that already don't like the NBA. There's too much. They don't play defense in there.
Never happened.
All of that, it's never happened before. So okay, great. There's no precedent for it already. So it would be an unprecedented thing, and it would be bad for the league. Because what I was saying, it would be bad for the league because what you got. I mean, growing up in Cincinnati, Bobby. I mean, there are limited NBA fans in a market like Cincinnati. I would say there are limited NBA fans throughout the southeast of the United States, as they are more. There are limited professional sports fans throughout the South, as they cling to their college programs, which, whatever, that's fine. But if you're trying to grow your brand, doing something that all it would do is just like cater to these people's, like, the pussification of America is happening.
The participation trophies are out and about.
Exactly, like fucking snowflakes. You can't decide. Like, fuck that. That all you're doing is like you're empowering that voice, which is asinine already. But you're putting backing behind it. Pick a fucking winner. There's somebody that deserves it, and there are three guys, as you alluded to, left in this race. The odds favorite right now, it's actually two guys that are tied, at least according to Caesar's sportsbook, whichever sportsbook you decide. Remember to bet responsibly. We've got Joel Embiid and Jokic at fucking -115 right now. Embiid has recently surged up as a new odds-on favorite with him, just based on his play as of late. Now there's some questions saying, okay, well, should Embiid sitting out against Jokic, should that play into some kind of the factor? Bobby, what's your take on that when you're just comparing those two? Because there's another guy that we need to talk about when you're just comparing those two. If Embiid's sitting out against his main competition for that award, should that weigh into the decision-making process?
I mean, realistically, yes. I believe it does. I don't think you can. I mean, you want to see these guys face off. You want to see which one of these guys is gonna put it to the other, and most importantly, you want to see who put together the better season. You want to see who was on the court more, who helped their team win more games. If you're not on the court, you're not helping them win more games. I don't care how great of a cheerleader you are on the sideline. If you're that important to your team, you need to be on the floor. You need to be playing. If you're injured, it is a detriment to the ability to win that game. So Jokic, I think, has had the more complete season. I think he should three-peat as MVP. I think he's had the better season of the two. Embiid has been playing lights out since he's come back from his injury. Definitely a reason why they are where they are, and they have a very good chance to win the championship this year because of the way that he's playing. And the other guy who we haven't talked about yet, Giannis, is still having a great season. Having a great season. I mean, these three guys are the most elite players in the NBA. If you're starting your team right now, these are one of those three guys is going to be your pick starting out. And if they're not, sorry, but that's just not the right direction.
Yeah. But, I think that there's I think that with from a gambling perspective, when I'm looking at this,
Oh, okay.
you've got Embiid at -115, Jokic at -115, and then you've got Giannis at +225. From a gambling perspective, when I'm looking at this, I'm looking at value. Embiid and Jokic don't have any value to me because it's a coin
Yeah, I'm putting
flip.
my money on Giannis.
I'm putting my money on Giannis. Absolutely.
I'll throw a tenner on him to slide in
Yeah.
there and steal it.
If you're buying a lottery ticket, which there's not a clear runaway, a bet on Embiid and Jokic are dumb. You're getting minus money on that. You're getting 85 cents to every dollar that you bet on that one. And versus Giannis, you're getting $1.25 for every dollar you bet. So it is just a better return on your investment. At the same time, Giannis is not out of this by any means. If at the end of the day, Giannis is the one that wins the MVP, it's not crazy. My opinion, he's the best player in basketball. Now, Jokic and Embiid, their impact to their team is it's monumental. I mean, just look at where each of their teams are in the standings right now. All of them are going to be in the playoffs, right?
Well, I know everybody's talking. I mean, the Bucks have the best record in the NBA.
Yes, and the second best is the Nuggets.
And the second best is the Nuggets.
If I'm not mistaken,
the Sixers are
like fourth best or fifth best.
They are the fourth best.
Fourth best, yeah. Yeah. I mean, these are all really good teams. I think that when it comes down to it, if I had to guess, I think it's going to be Embiid because I think that there is a little bit of that. We can't give it to this guy 3 times in a row. I think
if we didn't give it to LeBron, we can't give it to Jokic type deal.
Yeah.
You know?
I think there's a little bit of that.
You're starting to have conversations. Is Jokic a better player than LeBron? You know, in LeBron's prime.
The answer is obviously no. It's not.
The answer is not even close.
It's not even fucking close. And anyone that jumps in this chat right now and just tries to sell me that Jokic is a better basketball player than LeBron in his prime, I might have a fucking stroke. But I would put my money on Giannis. I think it's probably going to be Embiid though. Just gut feeling. We'll see, obviously, as things get going. But playoffs, man, they're right. What are we, like 2 weeks away from the play? I think second week in April is when the play-in games start. Mm-hmm. So we've got. I want to just kind of talk about the teams that we've got limping in. If you have anything to comment on it, we've got our limpers and our peakers. All right.
Just one more thing for the MVP.
Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
Before we move on, I think there's really only one of those 3 guys that actually give a shit about this award, and I think it's Embiid because Jokic and Giannis already have them. But they don't want that. They want the championship at this point. Like, what the fuck's an MVP if you ain't got a championship? Especially Jokic.
Giannis has both.
Jokic isn't even watching that MVP race. He could give 2 shits. He wants a ring. And Giannis, I think he's just at the point in his career where MVPs don't matter and he just wants to win. So he just kind of strikes me that guy. Embiid, though, he's had a lot. He's been, arguing his case on why he's there. So it's important to him. It's the first one. I get it. I'd want to be MVP too. But that was just a quick take on that. But no, there's quite a few teams limping in, and the Western Conference, it's tight. I mean, real tight. So how do you think that's going to shape up here in the last week?
Well, I think the Nuggets are going to walk away with, I think, the first overall seed in that conference. I know that I think they're the best. Lead. Yeah, they got a 3-game lead. There's about 7 games left, if I'm not mistaken. So I think they're going to walk out with that one. But I'm more interested in the teams that are kind of heating up right now. But first, let's talk about the teams that I'm worried about. I'm worried about going into these playoffs, not just for seeding, but how they're going to perform in round 1. Mm-hmm. First of which being the Suns. I'm very concerned about the Phoenix Suns. They've been playing awful, and their record over the last 10 games has showed it. Another one, the Mavericks. What the fuck is going on with the Dallas Mavericks? Since Kyrie,
Luka's pretty much said that he hates playing with Kyrie.
Are we surprised? Is anyone shocked by this? Go figure. The guy that is a literal fucking cancer on any roster that he has been on, other than with LeBron James in Cleveland.
Which you can argue he was still semi-cancerous there.
Sure. It was
controlled a little bit.
Yeah, an annoying noise is less annoying when you've got a great rock concert going on next to you, right? and that
Right.
the rock concert being LeBron James,
Oh,
and
sure.
then the little annoying noise is Kyrie, and that's not to take away from anything that he did in that finals because
Yeah.
he was fantastic, right?
He's a big part of the reason why they won.
They don't win those finals without Kyrie. So
Nope.
not to take away anything from that, but he is
You're not going to get it done with Dellavedova. We'll just put it that way.
he's a black hole of joy, and I just can only imagine. Like I would imagine that I think Kyrie is Kyrie like the Russell Wilson of the NBA, but like worse, just because he's like not a good person. Like I genuinely feel like Russell Wilson's probably an okay guy. He's just really fucking weird. I don't think I would trust Kyrie to watch my dog.
Yeah. I mean, look, there's a lot of, personal things, with Kyrie, where you can have your things against him. But as far as a player and a teammate's concerned, I think he's just a very selfish guy.
Yeah.
And it shows on the floor, and the way that the team plays, and you can see the chemistry on the floor. You can see the connection that they all have with each other when they're playing, because, when you go up against, teams, like the Warriors,
like the
in
Bucks,
their prime, or the Bucks, like there's just a flow, and you see it, like everybody's on the same page.
They all want to win. That's the only thing that matters.
Beautiful.
Winning.
And then you watch the Mavericks, and it's chunky, and it's just cumbersome, and it doesn't look smooth, and it's just.
Is Kyrie Irving Mark Cuban's worst investment today? That's
for sure. Absolutely.
There's a 30 for 30 that's going to come out. It's going to be a Shark Tank Mavericks spinoff, and it's going to be. What if I told you that the greatest investor of all time made one of the worst investments ever?
There was a Mavs trade. One of the best things that the Mavs ever did was their trade for Dirk Nowitzki. Draft trade, and who they got him for? Oh my god,
I don't remember that. I don't remember the details of that.
I saw a TikTok on.
You're digging back in the back of the library there for me on that one. Can't remember exactly what the terms of that deal was, but we got a couple other teams limping into the playoffs here, Bob. The New York Knicks, a team that just a few weeks ago we're like, man, do we have to start taking these guys seriously? Like they're covering, they're winning, they're playing up and beating teams that are, just higher than them in the standings and playing really good basketball. Julius Randle, I believe, bipolar when it comes to playing basketball, dude. Some days it's like he's shooting 20% from the field, and other days he's out there dropping 40. So I don't know what Julius Randle I'm going to get. And the Knicks have started to suffer because of the inconsistency. I believe they've lost 3 of their last 10 games, or they've only won 3 of their last 10, if I'm not mistaken. So the Knicks are sliding. The team that's trying to stay in there, the Wizards, they're having a rough go at it. They're trying to stay in that play-in game contention. Doesn't look like it's going to happen if they keep this pace up. So
yeah, I mean they're 2 games back. They're 3-7 in their last 10. The Bulls are playing good basketball right now, so I really don't see any way in which the Eastern Conference changes too much from where it's currently at. I mean, you may see the Raptors and the Hawks slide, like a little bit, but I don't really see anything there. I think the big one to watch is going to be over in the West. It's going to be that 11, through that 8 seed, maybe even the 9. Because the Mavs, the Thunder, the Lakers, and the Pelicans, they're all separated by 1 game. One game.
Yeah, going to be an interesting final couple of weeks as we come.
Nothing there is set in stone.
Yeah, and you kind of touched on a couple of teams that I'm looking at peaking right now. Like if I'm looking at teams that I'm looking to place a future on to win the finals. Obviously, you're going to get plus odds on all of these guys right now, but it's about value. The Bucks obviously are a great pick. I think they're at plus 300 right now to win the finals. I think they're my preseason pick to win it all, but they've just been playing the most consistent basketball pretty much since the All-Star break, in my opinion. The Celtics, another team that's playing really good basketball right now. I think 7 of their last 10 they've won. They're doing a really good job. The Cavs, man, the Cavs are playing really good basketball right now too. I know Aaron's loving to hear this. Hopefully he's listening while he's out in Vegas. But yeah, the Cavs are another team that just in terms of value,
3 of their last 10, and they haven't really played bad the whole season. They haven't really had a stretch where it was just like, man, this is getting ugly.
they've kind of just
they've had off nights, but they've been playing well.
They've kind of just always been in there that like either middle to upper middle area of the top 8 seed or top 6 seeds, and now they're starting to creep up towards the top now as the season ends, which you this is when you want to be playing your best basketball. It's actually the opposite of what the Cavs were able to do last season. They kind of started out really, really good and just kind of slid all the way down, I believe, into the play-in to finish last season. So Cavs, another team, great value right now. I mean, it would be amazing if they pulled that off, just because there's so much talent out there in the East right now at the top specifically. The Bulls are another team that are just playing really good basketball right now. So I love a lot of these middle seeds in the playoffs. Teams that can, potentially put a run together, or at least just knock a couple of people off by en route to the finals. Into the Western Conference, you got 3 teams that I'm really looking at that are playing good basketball right now. Obviously, you have to talk about the Memphis Grizzlies, just what they've been able to do over their last 10, and Los Angeles Clippers. Los Angeles Clippers have been playing good basketball too. So there's a couple of people just to keep your eye out, especially in the first round as we start looking here.
Grizzlies are 9-1.
Yeah,
in their last 10. I mean, if that's not hot, I don't know what is.
Right. So got to keep an eye on them. But I'll tell you, Bobby, there's a team that I've got my eye on that I think can win this whole fucking thing. It's the Golden State Warriors. I think
they're sitting in a very, very interesting position.
You think anybody wants to fucking play them round 1? No way, dude.
Why?
No way.
Why would you want to do that to yourself? That's like the old guy at the bar that like you just like somebody's like, I don't want to fight him. You have to.
Yeah, he's pissed drunk, but he will beat your ass. Absolutely. Right. That's the Golden State Warriors.
I don't want to fight him.
Yeah, they're Jim Bob at your local watering hole right now.
Yeah.
He hasn't worked in 6 months, but he's fucking kept that bar open for the last 6 months. That's right. And he will beat your ass. That's who I've got right now, honestly. I put a future in today, plus 1,100 on the Warriors. You're getting great value there just because they're a team that's done it. And I trust them, right? And they're a team that even when you think they're not supposed to be there, look at last year, right?
I mean, if you have Curry and Clay, and those 2 guys are healthy and they're shooting the lights out, you put any other 3 human beings on the floor with them that can rebound and play defense, and you've got a shot.
And Draymond turns into a different fucking animal in the playoffs.
I fucking hate him in the playoffs.
I know you do.
He's very good in the playoffs.
He's a heel.
He's very good. He's very good in the playoffs.
He's mankind in the playoffs, and he does his role fantastically because mankind was also a heavyweight champion of the world. All right, yeah, so he does
absolutely.
He does
Jack.
He knows his role, and he played it well.
Yeah, I mean, as much as I hate to say, as much as I hate Draymond, the Warriors don't have a lot of their success without him. He's a very integral part of their team. Okay, all right, I'm done with that. Anything else we want to touch on NBA wise before we head to a tradition unlike any other?
Yeah, we had some futures or not futures.
Oh,
I'm sorry. We had some NBA plays tonight. I think I'm going to try and pull those up right here just to check.
Aaron had a few, didn't he?
Yeah, he put a couple out there. We got Phoenix -5, the Philly Dallas under, and the Lakers Bulls under. So Lakers Bulls at half right now. They are currently at 59-51. So that put us at 110. We are on pace to hit that under with at 227.5. Philly and Dallas, we are in the third right now, 68-66, which puts us at a 134 total. We took the under at 232.
Another thing Aaron put in here was Embiid and Doncic. There was a boost for 200 for them to score 70 combined. Where are they at scoring wise right now?
That's a good question here. 70 combined between Luka and Embiid. For Luka, we're looking at 14 points. We got about 8.5 left in the third, about 8 minutes left in the third. Embiid, 16 points. So looking
30,
good.
They got some work to do. 30 points combined. So they gotta
They're
get
about
30.
they're about halfway
points.
there, and
Oh yeah, okay. So that's just the start of the third quarter.
yeah,
Okay.
about halfway there. So
All right,
it'll
I
be
think
close.
it'll
But
be
what
yeah,
his
good
point
over-under.
was, we were going to fade that in that anticipation that, okay, if they both have 30-point games, then that's going to be a high scoring game. He's like, let's fade the boost. Let's take the under on that game in general. So that was kind of the play there, I think.
Oh, that's smart. I like that. See, he's so smart. He's so smart when it comes to this stuff.
He's a generous degenerate, baby.
He is, and I'm working on becoming a member. All right, well, those are the NBA plays for tonight. Do you have any big plays going into the weekend? Anything you're looking at that you like? It's okay if you don't. I was just curious.
Yeah, it's just a little bit difficult with NBA specifically, just because
It is kind of day to day.
it's day to day. We don't necessarily know who's playing. A lot of the lines don't necessarily come out, but we will be kind of making. I'll be making some series bets and things like that as we get into the playoffs. But the other thing, if you've been following us on Twitter, our Twitter handle again is right here up on the video. If you're watching on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitter, it is at rally_towel_s. Go ahead and follow us on Twitter. We tweet out our daily bets. We tweet out those. If you're following us, you got all of those NBA picks before the action tipped off. So one of the things, if you've been following us on there, that you've been seeing is we've been betting a lot of NHL lately, and it's kind of been a consistent strategy throughout on the Caesars Sportsbook app. If you are Caesars, if you're willing to sponsor, go ahead. They allow you to kind of flex out the lines and the spreads on the NHL games by half a goal. So, for instance, let's say that we've got Detroit versus I don't know, Calgary, and Calgary is favored by 1.5 goals. Typical spread on a hockey game is going to be 1.5 goals. And let's say that the money has been hammering Detroit to cover that spread. You're going to get -1.5 at like +170 to +190 odds. What I do then is go into the alternate spread. I buy half a goal, which means I take it down to -1 goal. So I don't have to cover by 1.5. I only have to cover by 1. And I still get plus odds on the favorite. So I would still get +114 or +105 or something like that. I'll take the plus odds on the favorite to just win by 1, and that also gives me an opportunity to push. So when I'm doing this strategy and I'm betting only on plus odds favorites, I only need to hit half my bets to make money. So we did this 2 nights ago. We bet on 2 games. We went 1-1 on our bets, but because we're betting on plus odds games, we're making money. Last night, we went 1, 1, and 2. We pushed on 2 of those games, which means we protected our money. We got it back. We lost 1, and we won 1. As long as you're winning as much as you're losing, or you're getting bets right as much as you're getting them wrong, you're going to make money on this strategy. We had a couple of plus odds favorites tonight. I just didn't like it. I didn't like the juice. I think it was like +101 or +102. Wasn't worth it for me, so we just sat this one out. So I like to do it when there's at least two of those opportunities, giving me the option to, at least if I only need to get one of them right, basically.
No, that's a good strategy. I like that.
Yeah, it's been working. So follow us on Twitter at rally_towel_s. You'll get all the NHL and NBA action, as well as some golfing bets, Bob.
Oh yeah. So we got the next 2 tournaments. We have the Valero Texas Open being played at San Antonio TPC, and then obviously following week is Augusta. So
say it again.
A tradition unlike any other.
Oh yeah, Jim.
I wish I could do that impression, but no. So this weekend, we got the field's pretty light as far as notable names out there. Obviously, everybody I think's hanging tight and getting prepared for the Masters next week, which I think we'll actually see a few names that had left for the Live Tour making an appearance, coming back and playing the Masters. So that's going to be interesting. It'll be the first time that we've seen them back. At least playing in the realm with all the other PGA golfers. So that's going to be interesting. But this week's purse, $8.9 million. The favorite to win is Tyrell Hatton at 13-1. But I'm sure you've got some other plays for us this weekend. So let's hear it.
Yeah, I'm sticking away from tournament winner. I just obviously you're going to get fantastic odds there. If you're going to make that bet, let's make it on Saturday morning, Friday night after you see the way people have played for 2 days. You're still going to get decent value there at picking a winner, and it's still a really hard bet. So let's watch 2 days of golf and then make your bet on tournament winner. So going into the tournament, which kicks off tomorrow morning, I've got 2 bets placed right now, and they're top 20 bets. Typically, you've been hearing me go for top 10 bets, but I'm going top 20, obviously still getting plus odds on both of these bets. So I only need to hit one of them to make money. Again, you're hearing a theme here with my betting strategy, but I just need to at least hit one of these. As long as I keep my units the same, I went 1.5 units on each of these. I only need one in order for me to clear in the black. So I'm going with Christian Kirk at plus 140, and a guy that's been playing, he's been playing really well right now. So I'm getting plus 140 on him to make the top 20. Another guy that's just been playing really good golf right now, I'm going Siwoo Kim, top 20 at plus 115 at the Valero Texas Open. Those are my only 2 bets right now. We've got a diluted field, like you mentioned. We're not seeing the top golfers, guys that I've watched a lot of golf of, just because of the coverage that's available, like your Spieths, your Rory. The list goes on and on and on. And personally, I'm saving most of my bankroll for the Masters, and I'm gonna have a little bit more fun when it comes down to that for sure. But that's what I got for the Valero Open.
So have you heard about this this betting, like golf betting pro named Mike McClure? And his algorithm on how he
tell me about my next friend.
So it's called Sportsline's proprietary model. It was built by Mike McClure. Since June of 2020, the model is up $8,100. So he's up on all of his gambling strategies, $8,100. I just stumbled on this article today, so I haven't had time between work and moving a refrigerator into my mom's house and then coming here to actually dig into it. So it's something I'm going to do later. But his pick, that's going to give you the best odds overall, is Thomas Dietrich at plus 4,400
for this weekend.
For this weekend, 40-1. 44-1 essentially odds winner. He predicted Scotty's Masters win last year. He did Colin Morikawa's Open Championship win last year. John Rahm, he's a lot of these big wins and these tournaments leading up to them, he's been very good. So he doesn't think Tyrell Hatton's going to play well. Corey Connors is a 17-1 favorite. Doesn't think they're going to play well this weekend. So I'm going to be very curious, and I'm going to be watching intently to see how this guy's strategy works. If he's right, if he's wrong, maybe. Obviously you can't be right every time, so you got to take it with a grain of salt. But
he doesn't need to be right every time. He needs to be right like every 5 times in order to get the return on investment, just based on the odds that you're getting.
If you're betting the way that he's betting and you're up $8,100, you're doing something right.
Yeah, I wouldn't complain about that, right? I just try and keep my head above water, but 8,100, that's a good
it's a good strat. So if you're feeling frisky, Thomas Dietrich 44-1. Yeah.
Dig it.
Maybe it wouldn't hurt throw a fiver on that.
Or he's just fading the world, putting this out there. All the money starts going on Dietrich, and it just jacks up the guy he really wants. A little pump and dump action happening on sports books.
You never know. I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, and when do we start seeing that is the question, right? Like we see it like when we got into like the stock buying craze of like early 2020 when everyone was just buying stock. Like everyone became
stocks and cryptos and
everyone became a fucking day trader and shit. And then you just start seeing the people with money just start manipulating the market. Like, is that, as sports gambling starts to grow, do we see the potential? I mean, obviously,
It's already happening.
Yeah.
I mean, if Vegas is just the best example. It's already happening. It's just to what degree is it happening behind closed doors? We don't know.
And again, we're not saying that they have any effect on the actual game. What we are saying, though, is that they absolutely have an
effect
ability
on the line,
on the odds, on the line, on the juice, whatever you want to call it. They absolutely have the ability, and often do that to hedge their bets.
Oh yeah. All right, and then obviously we got the Masters coming up. I do want to plug our Masters pool. Corey did a fantastic job with it last year. We're going to do it again this year. Can you kind of break it down? I kind of forgot how it worked. I know we're picking like we're going off world golf rankings.
Yeah.
We pick from a certain number. I think it was 1 to 10, and then 10 to 25, and then 26 to 100. We get a certain amount, and then it's purse winnings at the end, right? Something to that effect.
Pretty much, yeah. So you'll be able to select 6 golfers for your team. I believe it's a $25 entry, 1 entry per person, because that's a lot to take care of for me to manage. But we'll have everything up on rallytowsports.com. You'll be able to follow along. Everything will be updated after every round is complete. But basically, here's how it works. We will be tiering these golfers based on the world golf rankings on Monday, April 3rd, as we go into the week of the Masters. You'll be able to select 1 golfer out of the top 10. You will select 2 golfers from the world rankings of 11 to 25, and then you will select 3 golfers from 26 plus, the remaining field that don't fall into those previous 2 categories. You'll select 3 golfers. That will make your team of 6. How we decide the winner is based on how much money those golfers win at the end of the tournament. So if somebody misses the cut on your team, obviously their take home is 0. If somebody wins, obviously you're looking at $2+ million going there. Yeah, it's 2 to 3. So it's probably somewhere around 3. But the total purse is around $25 million, but I think the winner brings home about $2 to $3 million, if I'm not mistaken. I could be. It's happened once before, but anyway, so yeah, it's this is a fundraising opportunity. So it's an opportunity for you guys to win a little bit of money. And 2.7.
What Scotty won.
Yeah, so
that's a nice chunk of change for a weekend.
It's a life changer for sure. So yeah, an opportunity for you guys to win some money, but also some of that pot's going to be going to helping the channel grow. So we're going to be investing it directly into the podcast. Up until now, we've basically the way that we've gotten here right now has just been through our own pockets and our desire to grow. Now we're asking for our Rally Towel Sports family to help out a little bit and help us continue to promote and build this community that we hope you all enjoy so much, and we can blow this thing up a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, the big thing that's not to be missed is we're not just running these to promote the channel. We're also donating a bigger portion than we're keeping to promote to charity. And then obviously you get some back if you win. So it's a great deal all around. The more we grow, the more we're going to be able to donate and really impact the community, which is kind of why we started doing this in the first place. We obviously we all like talking sports, but at the end of the day, there's a lot of causes and charities and just applications that are close to us that we want to try to impact and have a hand in and help grow. So that's definitely a part of our mission statement, even though we don't technically have one. It's in there somewhere.
It's beer charity sports, I think, is our
mission statement.
Is our mission statement,
yeah. 3 words. It's short, sweet, and to the point. Love it. All right. Last big thing. NFL free agency kind of took a turn. Well, I didn't really take a turn. We got some shocking news that Lamar Jackson on the 23rd of March said that he requested a trade on the 2nd of March, which was 3 weeks previous.
Mm-hmm.
Which that was interesting when he said he requested a trade. Like, oh, he requested a trade today. No, that happened 3 weeks ago, and then nobody said anything. Now, I want your thoughts on where he's going to go. Are the Ravens going to continue to try to retain him, or is that ship sailed? And then lastly, what's the total outcome, of this? What are going to be the biggest impacts?
Yeah, I think firstly to the Ravens, I don't see a path in which this relationship continues in a healthy manner for either side. It will be viewed by both parties in regards to the other as a hostage situation. Ravens organization and fans will feel as though Lamar is holding them hostage. Lamar will feel as though the Ravens are holding him hostage. Obviously, the Ravens and Lamar move forward together in a nice way. Where does he go? I think there are probably 3, maybe 4 teams that make sense. The Atlanta Falcons, the Indianapolis Colts, the Washington Commanders, and the Detroit Lions. Those are teams that make sense. There is another team that apparently has been in the mix due to the request of Lamar. And again, this is just a report, but the New England Patriots as well is a team that Lamar had reportedly expressed interest in. Bill Belichick made a comment today that they're not going to talk about any players that aren't on the current roster. The comment was made that this player's a free agent, and he said, period. And they ended the discussion. So what that means, I'm not sure. Bill Belichick is, ultimately going to make that call, according to Robert Kraft. I don't necessarily know that's going to be the route that they go.
I don't think that's a good fit.
I don't either. So then we eliminate the Patriots. We're looking at the Colts. We're looking at the Falcons, the Commanders, and then we're looking at the Lions. If I'm Lamar, let's just say I'm Lamar, I want a team that's a quarterback away. If I'm a general manager, I want Lamar if I'm only a quarterback away.
Mm-hmm.
So let's think about who those teams are. Are the
Detroit.
Falcons a quarterback away? No, they're not.
They've got a few more pieces.
Sure, they've added Calais Campbell as of today or yesterday. I can't remember which one it is at this point. They added Calais Campbell. Is Calais Campbell TJ Watt? Nope. Is he Aaron Donald? Nope. Is he a good veteran player? Absolutely. Is he a Von Miller? No. It's not going to revolutionize your defense at all. They added Jesse Bates. Great. That secondary needed a fuck ton of help. They added Jesse Bates. That's a good ad for them. But I'm not looking at the Falcons if I'm Lamar saying this team is on the verge of winning a Super Bowl, because they're not. From there, I look at the Indianapolis Colts. Based on what they did last year, I'm staying away from that organization. And I know we've got a lot of Colts fans that are in the Rally Towel Sports family. And for the shoe, we love you guys. I don't even know if I want that if I'm a Colts fan. I'm sick of hopping around from quarterback to quarterback to quarterback rather than drafting, developing, investing the capital in doing it that way, because that is the model that has worked. Look at the last Super Bowl champions exit the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, but look at the way that it's working for teams like the Chiefs, like the Bengals. Obviously, Bengals not winning the Super Bowl yet, but people are wanting to replicate that.
I mean, even in their franchise history, you have Peyton Manning and Andrew Luck, both out of the draft, and the two best quarterbacks to grace that field in the last 2 decades, 3 decades.
I think people are looking at what the Buccaneers were able to do with Tom Brady, and they think that they can replicate that, but that's just not usually the case. Normally, when a veteran quarterback leaves and moves on, it's not going to end in Super Bowl championships. It just doesn't usually happen that way, and just in the history of the league. So if I'm a Colts fan, I don't want it. If I'm Lamar, I probably don't want it either, to be honest with you. So then that would leave 2 teams in the Washington Commanders and the Detroit Lions, both in the NFC. Obviously 3 of the 4 that we just mentioned were, but I think if I'm Lamar, I want to go to the NFC. I think it's wide open right now. We talked about it in our group chat, Bob. Jalen Hurts is the best quarterback in the NFC, and then who? And then who? Is it Jared Goff? Is it Kirk Cousins? Like,
it is a suspect conversation to have at this point. The one thing I am interested to see, I know that there have been 2 bids placed to buy the Commanders this past week. One of them included Magic Johnson, and then there was it was either I think it was a Canadian billionaire just sought to buy the team outright.
yep,
I don't remember his
6 billion.
name.
6 billion fully funded. Both offers came in at 6 billion. So at the end of the day, it just comes down to which one they like a little bit more.
And the most hilarious thing to come out of both of those offers is that Mike McDaniel let us know that when he was an assistant coach there, the coffee wasn't free.
Yeah.
And that's hilarious.
And I think it lines up so well. It's so on cue. It's so on point for Commanders.
But no, I mean, I think personally, the best fit is definitely the Detroit Lions right now. I think the Commanders have too much going on. Obviously the team's going to be getting sold. There's a lot of cameras on that front office. There's a lot of attention there. If you're Lamar, you want to get away from all that. You want to go to a team that's just ready to rock and roll. That's ready to just shatter ankles or eat ankles or whatever the hell Dan Campbell said. Biting kneecaps. That was it. And just get after it, man. I mean, they were literally one piece away last year. And Goff had a very nice year last year, but if Lamar's there, I think it's a different story for them.
I think that's probably true. At the end of the day, though, Detroit did have a great year, but you don't start 1-6 and make the playoffs. It just doesn't happen. So they played really good down the backstretch. Whether or not they're going to be able to carry that over, yeah, I think if you're looking at paper, I think Detroit is the sexy pick right now. If you're Lamar, I think that makes a lot of sense. I think you're going to see a lot of people start throwing money on Detroit to win that division if Lamar ended up going there. But I will make a case for Washington as a organization that makes a lot of sense as well. This is an organization that has had dire need for a franchise quarterback for a long time. They thought they were going to get it out of Kirk Cousins. Obviously, that didn't happen. He goes to Minnesota. Prior to that, you're looking at RG3, a guy that came out offensive rookie of the year, and we all know what happened to RG3 with injury and things moving out from there, but just never really was the same. But I also want to look at history and when teams are sold, what happens? So new ownership takes hold of the Denver Broncos. What do? They go out and get Russell Wilson as their franchise quarterback. I could absolutely see the Washington Commanders being sold, the ownership group saying, let's make this deal happen. I'm already in for $6 billion. What is another $300 million?
Nothing.
At
that point.
Nothing. And yes, okay, well, the salary cap can be manipulated, as you see of all these restructuring deals happening.
Guarantee it, put a signing bonus on there and call it a fucking day.
Exactly. So I could absolutely, and let's not shrug off the weapons that the Commanders have on the offensive side of the ball either. Scary Terry,
great running game.
And, Brian Robinson. I mean, they've got a fantastic group of weapons. That would be if Lamar went to the Commanders, that would be the best wide receiver core he's ever played with, ever. I think the same. Let me be clear that I think the same is true in Detroit.
Oh, for sure.
I don't think the same is true in Atlanta, and I don't think the same is true in Indianapolis. But I think the same would definitely be true in Washington and Detroit.
He's always been just receivers away from being great.
I think that's fair. I think Lamar, from an outside perspective, watching him, has made poor plays as well.
For sure.
But
do you think that has to do with him trying to force the action because he feels like he has to?
Potentially, but at the end of the day, you don't want your quarterback doing that. I think from a Ravens perspective, you'd ask about fallout of this. From the Ravens perspective, when you're looking at Lamar, you're looking at a guy that went out and won an MVP early in his career. From there, you're like, oh, well, let's get a deal done right now. And it didn't happen. Since then, you're looking at a quarterback that has annually regressed. He has gotten worse every year from a statistical standpoint. You're looking at a guy whose durability has gotten worse every year. When you're looking to invest in a long-term asset, if durability and performance are regressing, why would you be confident in investing in that long-term asset? As a rival of the Ravens in the AFC North, I'm a Bengals fan. I want them to sign Lamar to a long-term deal. I want them to make that bet very, very badly. Very bad. I want them to go balls deep in signing Lamar to a long-term contract because I think it's going to tie them up with money that they're not going to get a return on that investment. And I would love for my rival to be burdened with that. You know what I mean? So that's just I totally understand where the Ravens are coming from. I totally understand where Lamar is coming from. And at the end of the day, if there's a team that's willing to pony up and get him, he'll get what he deserves. I think the market will be what he deserves anyway. I think that's just the way it will shake out, whether that's the Ravens or the Commanders or the Lions or some other team that's in the mix here. I just think it's going to work out to where he's going to be adequately compensated according to that team's needs. That's just the way it will work out.
No, I completely agree. And, Lamar was offered by the Ravens the second most guaranteed money ever in an NFL contract in the history of the game. And he shot it down.
Yeah.
Second most guaranteed money ever. We know the Browns. The only reason the Browns gave Deshaun $230 million guaranteed is because they were fucking out of the conversation and just not even in the same arena with signing him. And they just said, you know what? We need to make a splash. We need to have a good quarterback. And they're like, fuck it. We're just going to give him $230 guaranteed and see if we can get him back in here. Of course he's going to say yes. Who says no to $250 million guaranteed? Yep. No human on planet Earth. That is the answer to that question. So
absolutely.
I don't think you're ever going to see a contract with that much guaranteed money. I don't think you're going to see anything close to it.
They already restructured it. They've already restructured. Like, damage has been done in Baltimore. Congrats, Andrew Berry. You've done what you needed to do. You've already fucked the Ravens because of this deal. And I think other teams that are looking to negotiate contracts with their quarterbacks, i.e. the Eagles, the Chargers, the Bengals, looking to extend their rookies right now, they're looking at this situation and just smiling because they're like, all right, well, the Ravens got fucked by it, but it doesn't look like we're going to be able to hold this up and say, well, look, they already restructured it. So what's the point? Why would I give you this deal? Why don't we just get that part over with now and make this deal advantageous?
They offered it to get him in the door and on a contract.
Yeah.
And then once they got him on the contract, they said, hey, this is kind of fucking us. Can we restructure this? Are you willing to, be a little flexible with this? And he's like, you know what? Yeah, absolutely. Because you know what? They gave him a shot at football, guaranteed. So, yeah, absolutely. You're not going to see $230 million guaranteed. No, you're not going to see anybody with a 2 in front of it. The fact that he got, 150 guaranteed? 130?
Yeah, something like that.
It was over 100. It was over $100 million guaranteed. The fact that you got that, you should have just fucking taken it and walked away.
I agree.
And just laced them up and got on the field. I'm not turning down $100 million guaranteed. I don't give a shit who you are. I don't care what.
I do some fucking horrific things for $100 million. I swear to God.
It would definitely be different. One thing I did want to talk about, unless you got anything else to talk about on Lamar, I kind of wanted to.
You're gonna hold it down though. I'm down to keep rolling though, Bobby. You're gonna need to hold it down. Homeboy's got to take a leak. I'll be right back. I need you to hold it down in some form or fashion. 30 seconds.
Got you. Take your time.
I will be right back.
You take your time. No, so I mean it's been a wonderful evening here. I don't get to be on here with Corey too often, just me and him. So it's kind of nice to sit here and vibe out with him. We've had some good discussion on the Final Four, the NBA playoffs. Golf, obviously we're talking football now. So if you guys have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out and let us know. We will be wrapping here soon. I just had one little last thing that I wanted to touch on with Corey before we head out the door. And that's just the Cincinnati Bengals. They've had some interesting signings here in the last couple of weeks, obviously beefing up that O-line. And Jonah Williams requesting a trade, and now he's backed that up, saying that he wants to stay and shift over to right tackle. So just from a Bengals fans perspective, that's what we're going to be asking Corey when he gets back. But if you guys have any questions, please don't hesitate to let us know. Like I had mentioned earlier, appreciate everybody swinging through. If you haven't already, please make sure that you follow, like, share. We're on YouTube, Facebook. The one thing I don't think we're on is Instagram. And I think we need to get an Instagram account.
We're on
we
Instagram.
Don't have one already.
We're on Instagram.
We
baby.
are okay. Cool. All right. So then you set that up. I didn't.
I think actually Todd set up our Instagram, but we are on Instagram. Everybody, I'll get you our handle.
Okay.
Right
Yeah.
now.
Facebook, Twitter, Insta, YouTube, TikTok, Podbean, Spotify.
At Rally Towel Sports. We are on Instagram.
No, so obviously we're kind of getting towards the end. I had really one last question before you went to take the lead. It was
couldn't hold it any longer.
No, it's okay. It's in regards to the Bengals O line. Obviously, Jonah Williams had requested the trade, and now he's said that he wants to go play right tackle. So what are your thoughts on that?
It's been interesting. I think my opinion is the request for trade from Jonah Williams was kind of reactionary.
Sure.
The reports are that Jonah wasn't told that the Bengals were going to be making this deal for Orlando Brown. And because of that, he didn't know what their plans for him were. And their plans for him are to compete for the right tackle job. Now that those reports are coming out, I'm sure he's had time to think about it. I'm sure the Bengals have had time to field offers for Jonah Williams, and I'm sure what they're getting is less than desirable, to the point to where they're probably not going to trade him. Because if they were going to trade him, they probably already would. There's not a huge market for left tackle right now in terms of trades. Sure, there are teams that could improve at left tackle, but I think they're going to try and do that through the draft. So there's not a huge market there for that. Also, Jonah Williams hasn't really necessarily played that great in order to demand a lot from a team. He's probably a lower mid left tackle in the league right now, and that obviously limits his market. But also, he's a durability concern. Jonah Williams has been hurt a lot over the last couple of years, and that's concerning. So when you're looking at a franchise left tackle, which is a wet dream of every head coach in the NFL to have that, Jonah Williams isn't necessarily there. So I think what happened was reactionary both by Jonah and his agent. And why I say his agent is because left tackle deals are a lot better than right tackle deals in terms of contracts, right? And the agent gets a cut of that contract. So the agent is probably like, we got to keep you out of left tackle. You're a left tackle. You've played left tackle your whole career. You did a great job. You can be a left tackle somewhere else. They don't want you a left tackle. Somebody else will get you there. Again, I have no sources on this. This is just my guess.
Oh, for sure.
And then and he's like, okay, so we want to trade. And it's just not getting it. The returns aren't coming back. He's probably had some time to think about it. Probably really wants to stay in Cincinnati and win a Super Bowl or try to win a Super Bowl. Which obviously the Bengals are up there in terms of contenders for next season.
This is their window.
So, their window is as long as Joe Burrow's playing quarterback, according to JB9. So I'm gonna side with him on that one. But no, I think so. Let's be clear. What's the outcome of this if that does happen? If Jonah Williams does stay on and compete, the Bengals go from having a lot of concerns and question marks at the offensive line to potentially having one of the deepest offensive lines in the NFL, which is insane.
That's been their biggest problem throughout the last two postseasons is their health status on the O-line going into the last couple games of the season, i.e. the championships and the Super Bowls. So
yeah, and I think you got still a question mark at left guard at Cordell Volson. Rookie last year, he's going to play better next year, more than likely. Last year was his rookie season. He was starting at left guard. So there's a lot of really good interior defensive lines, specifically in the AFC North. Maybe not in Cleveland, but they're trying to change that. but there's just a lot of good defensive line play across the league. So for Cordell to go out there and play the whole season at left guard, I think he's going to be a lot better for it next year. The Bengals, this is the best offensive line that Joe Burrow's ever had in the NFL, and it's not close, really.
No, it should be good. We've got an exciting couple of weeks here. Obviously, March Madness is wrapping up. NBA playoffs are starting. You got the Masters. You got the draft in the end of April. I mean, I
What's
don't know
tomorrow, Bob? Anything going on tomorrow?
I'm not sure.
Oh, it's fucking opening day. That's
Yes.
right.
Yes, it's.
Are you
No, I
excited?
thought the opening day was Thursday.
I think the Reds play tomorrow, don't they?
I could have swore it was
March 30th. Let's check.
that is God. Is that tomorrow?
March 30th is tomorrow.
That snuck up on me. I thought it was Thursday.
Yeah.
All right. Well, yeah. Big day tomorrow.
Reds play tomorrow at 4:10 against the Pittsburgh Pirates at Great American Ballpark. Speaking of the Reds, if you haven't already, go to our YouTube channel or Facebook or however you're watching. We've got an exclusive interview with COO of the Cincinnati Reds, Phil Castellini. Go ahead and check it out on our YouTube, Facebook page. We'll be getting it up on TikTok as well. It was
a tough interview to schedule, but Corey pulled it off, did an amazing job.
So. Yeah, I appreciate that, Bob. It was a big journalistic accomplishment, being able to talk with Satan himself, and I was grateful for the opportunity.
How did it feel to be in there in that environment?
To be in the presence of the devil, it's warm. I'll tell you that they aren't bullshitting you there. It's hot. You gotta be able to you gotta be hydrated to get through those moments.
I mean, I saw you had the tie undone a little bit, so obviously
hair's a little greasy. Yeah, just a little fucking yeah. It's an intense moment. But we got through it. I think we asked the hard hitting questions that some journalists probably too scared to do. So
for sure,
big moment for Rally Tell Sports.
Absolutely. All right. Well, if you haven't checked that out, that video is live on YouTube right now. That is going to do it for the Generous Degenerates this evening. Next week, your regular scheduled program will be back with Mr. Aaron Mailing and Mr. Corey James. Catch us tomorrow night. Me and Todd, we're going to be discussing some baseball, and it's going to be a fun one. Details to come here in a little bit. But for Corey, I'm Bobby. It's Generous Degenerates presented by Rally Towel Sports. You guys have a wonderful evening.
Peace.